Welcome to The Preferred List, a podcast about the people behind the best wedding days. I'm James, a wedding filmmaker. I've spent years in the industry working alongside incredible vendors, and this show is all about real conversations with the ones who make it happen. Whether you're a vendor or a couple, you'll get honest insight, good stories, and maybe a little inspiration along the way. Let's meet today's wedding vendors. Dort and Richard, how's it going?
Good.
Great.
Thanks for having us.
Well,
Yeah.
thanks for having me because we are here at Antrim 1844 in your venue. And I gotta say, the views outside and inside are just so good, so good. And I'm excited to pick your brains on how everything started here at Antrim and kind of get into the business side of things. But it's just so fun. One of the things that I talk about all the time on the podcast is the heart behind this is getting vendors together at venues that are local, hopefully to them. This one is not local to me. It's about an hour and a half for me, but so fun to see vendors coming together. You know, they bump shoulders in and out as they're kind of passing each other. And then one thing that's so fun is getting a chance to sit down with venue owners as kind of like the central hub for all of us other vendor types. Like we're coming into your space and celebrating with our couples, walking them through one of the biggest days of their lives. And it's just so fun to kind of hear from all these different perspectives. So Dort and Richard, thank you again for having me and for being on and sharing some of your story. Before we go any further, let's stop to talk about the location for today's podcast episode. Antrim 1844 is truly a dream destination wedding venue. Known for its exquisite cuisine and stunning gardens, the estate provides an ideal setting for both ceremony and your reception. Choose from the versatile locations like the classic formal English tea rose garden or the chic weatherproof glass enclosed pavilion ballroom. Your dedicated wedding coordinator will ensure every aspect of your day is flawless, from the artful cocktail hour in the mansion's drawing rooms to the exceptional dining experience crafted by their executive chef. Located in Tinytown, Maryland, the 24-acre estate is proudly listed on the National Historic Register, and it features a majestic mansion complemented by 11 outbuildings for a total of 40 beautifully appointed guest rooms, offering an all-inclusive event experience. Antrim 1844 is definitely a place that you should check out. Now let's jump back into today's episode. So Antrim 1844, where did all of this start for you guys?
Well, Dort, you're probably the best to kind of give the introduction, but Antrim 1840, the name Antrim actually was derived from the original owners who were from County Antrim, Ireland. And we added the 1844 on because that's the year that it was built. But Dort can probably give you a much better rendition of how it started and our first glimpse at Antrim on a cold November day back in 1987.
It sounds like you got the story too. Throwing it to her.
Well, if I remember back that far, no, I'm kidding. Richard and I always, when we met as practically teenagers, we've always been interested in preservation of old houses. So we lived in the Baltimore area, and so we would purchase a crummy looking old house with really fabulous bones in the best neighborhood we could afford, and then we'd fix it up and sell it. We were back in the day like Chip and what's her
Joanna
name?
Gaines,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
You're like, we started that.
Yeah, that was our idea.
Yeah.
Obviously, we probably didn't succeed
You just
quite
needed
to
the
the
TV
magnitude.
show. You didn't get the TV show. That's your
But
problem.
anyway, so make a long story short, we went through 8 houses in Baltimore, fixed them up, sold them, never for commercial reasons. Our family, 2 sons, and we lived in them and fixed them up and sold them. So then the last one we sold on the spur because the price was too good to pass up when someone wanted to buy it. So our real estate agent said, "Oh, I've got this fabulous old house. Have you ever heard of Westminster, Maryland?" And from Baltimore, that's not that far. And we were like, sure. And they're like, well, just a little bit further. It's a town called Tawny Town. We're like, well, we've never really heard of it.
It kind of sounds like a joke when you hear it that way.
So we came out. The house had been abandoned for over 50 years.
Wow.
So it was just beautiful bones that no one had destroyed the bones. But the wallpaper was 100 years old. There's no furnishings in it. And we walked in, the outside looked kind of, stark and scary. Like Richard said, it was a cold November day and there wasn't any heat, plumbing, or anything. And we were like, it's a little further than we were thinking because our kids are in school in
Yeah.
Baltimore and I don't think we can make this commute every day. And Richard said, we're up here and we love going to historic properties and whatnot. So we walked inside and fell in love with the grandeur, the architecture. The house was just almost like it was frozen in time. Just need a little paint, a little air condition, a little, like a million things, but we fell in love with it. And everyone thought we were crazy. And we were going to turn it into a B&B. Richard was in another bit in the car business, and I was an interior designer. So we thought, in our spare time, we can write off some of these expenses. Well, Antrim is like a very hungry dinosaur.
Yeah.
And we just grew the business from 4 rooms, 40 years ago, to now this amazing venue that's so romantic, and it's just a slam dunk for a beautiful wedding. And that's kind of how we've grown, and also have the country inn and a restaurant, and it's kind of busy around here.
There was an interesting way we actually got into the wedding business. When we had 4 guest rooms, we had one of my good friends was staying in a room and he got engaged. And they came down the next morning and announced their engagement and then said, we would love to have our wedding here. Now, at that point in time, we had one other person working here and no staff, no kitchen, no real kitchen, no. And of course, we said, sure, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And so, this was probably, late winter, early spring, and he wanted to get married in August. So we said, sure, Gordy, that'd be fantastic. And so maybe in June, we said, well, Gordy, how many people are you thinking about? Oh, like 250.
Oh, gosh.
And he said, you can do that, right? I said, yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. And so we actually met this gentleman, Mike Sell, who was kind of our first wedding coordinator with Dorothy. And he was a really talented young guy, and he was a very good chef and stuff. And he knew the people at the church, and he knew all these women. And next thing we know, we're had this tent out on the lawn, and we had the great Zambini doing fireworks. And I think I washed dishes for 4 straight days, and I was probably the most exhausted person ever. But then I got this check at the end. I looked at it and said, hey, Dort, we're in the wedding business. And that's kind of how we got started.
Yeah. It's so fun to hear sort of like those 9 houses. Was it 9 houses that you went through before this one?
Before,
Yeah.
at least. I stopped counting.
But it's so funny that like it was almost like there was this path that was being carved for you guys to get to this point where you had maybe a little bit more of the background, and you weren't walking into this going like, whoa, we can't do this. You're like, oh, we've done this like 9-10 times. It's
We
just a
can do
bigger,
this, yeah.
slightly bigger, like you said.
It was a much bigger challenge because in the other properties we could, patch the electricity, patch the plumbing, do this and that. Literally here, there was 30 amps of electricity in the house. No, plumbing that was here is only 1 bathroom, and all those pipes had burst and no heat because it had radiator heat and all the radiators had broken. So we were literally started with a shell, And then the
We
interesting
didn't really know what we were getting into.
it was a big project, but we actually settled on December 29th in 1987, and we opened on October 8th of 1988 with our 4 guest rooms. And literally, uh, we asked the guests not to flush the toilets because they hadn't been totally hooked up yet, but they
that was
looked good.
That was the
They
opening,
looked
the grand
That was our
opening.
opening. So we said, okay, all the guest rooms, the bathrooms looked fantastic. We said we still have to kind of finish the plumbing
Yeah,
before we
don't
open.
actually-
We had a
some.
Dixieland band up on the balcony. When you walk in the grand front porch, they were playing Dixieland, and one of our claim to fame was that Johnny Unitas, we were friends with, and he was at the opening party, and it was like. It was so much fun just envisioning this could work. We're
Yeah.
not really sure of all the details. And then our business plans kept growing, and we had a relationship with the Tawnytown Bank and Trust, and we would put together a plan, and there were a couple people who believed in us over there.
Yeah.
And they'd say to Richard, like it was the handshake days. Sure, we'll loan you XYZ, and we expanded to 9 rooms. Then we did outbuildings, the carriage, the sleigh. We kept, we knew we needed the quantity of rooms to make the bottom line work. That's Richard's MO, making the bottom line work. I can spend the money on the drapes and the wallpaper. Richard has to figure out the bottom line. But then we bought all the mill houses that were built in like the early 1900s for workers at the old mill in Tawnytown. They were contiguous to our property, so we started buying them and restoring them. So we're up to 40 guest rooms now, a fine dining restaurant that's award-winning, amazing wine cellar. So we have the Culinary nailed. I mean, it's fabulous.
Yeah.
And then I think the property's beautiful and the architecture's spectacular. And
So-
we tried so hard not to alter any of the ruin the 14-foot ceilings and the gorgeous original windows. We had Richard designed hiding all of the heating, plumbing, all the works are hidden, and so it really is like walking into any beautiful National Historic Trust property.
Yeah.
But you get to use it, and that's the cool part. You know, it's not roped off. Everybody's running around.
Can't
Don't
go in
forget
that
the
room.
pub.
Mhm.
We have we have this really cute pub that everybody loves. So I don't know how it grew, and
I was gonna say, how do you go from that cold November day with like nothing working, 30 amps of power? By the way, you have much more than 30 amps of power in your house if you don't know that already.
True.
We literally ran a 100 amp panel to our garage.
Exactly.
This is probably the size of the garage that we have. It's probably smaller. Just for
I remember
context.
plugging in something like a blow dryer or something, and the 30, that was it.
Yeah.
That blew up the 30 amps. So then we had zero.
But how do you go from skeleton to 40 rooms, a full wedding business? Like, was there like a thought before, or was it just like, let's just dive in and we'll
Well, it
figure
was
it
an
out as we go?
interesting thing because having redoing these other houses and things like that, we really kind of thought that we probably were going to flip Antrim at some point in time. And we had a couple who came to us and had a property in Lexington, Virginia, which was the old governor's house, which they had given to Washington Lee University. And they had been in a lawsuit with Washington Lee and trying to get the house back because they didn't think the university was really using it correctly. Anyhow, make a long story short, we went down and looked at it, and we put together a business plan for that property. But as we kind of thought about it and relocating and everything else, we decided that we were going to stay at Antrim. But we then took that business plan and adapted it and then put it to, towards Antrim. And so in 1992, that's when we expanded to 13 rooms, redid a bunch of outbuildings, opened a restaurant, and really, built the pavilion, which really gave us the ability to have weddings and keep the restaurant open on Saturday nights. And so that was kind of when we said, okay, we're in here 100%. We're probably not going to be leaving for a while, and made the big investment to kind of just build a business.
You had this big plan for somewhere else, and then you just ended up doing all the big stuff right where you already were here. I'm curious though, if you could speak just for a second to the vendors, the business owners that are listening, and they're in this spot where you guys were the November day where you're like, okay, I can see the picture of this thing that could work, could be a big booming business that could, move mountains, so to speak. What's your best advice for them in that moment to kind of take the plunge, take the leap, jump off the cliff a little bit and like start the thing that's not fully figured out yet?
Well, I think the funniest thing about it was maybe about 2 years after we kind of started the business, they asked Dort if she would teach a course at Carroll Community College on how to start a bed and breakfast. And so it was going to be, Dort was going to talk about the fun aspects or the running the bed and breakfast, and my job was to talk about the nuts and bolts, the insurance and everything. So I went first, and about 2 hours later, this woman meekly in the back goes, "Is there anything good you can say?" Because and I said,
Just wait a
"Don't
second.
worry, my wife is next, and you all will be 100% back in."
Yeah.
Because it does have its great attributes, but you also have to realize there's an awful lot that goes into it. There's lots of different fees and hurdles you have to, pass, and it's even more complicated today with regulations and things. And some of the stuff we were able to do then would be more difficult to do today.
Oh,
So
sure.
you really have to kind of look at it and say, how's this really going to work, and how can I get past this and really understand the regulations and everything else. And when it comes to the other part of the business, the fun part, that comes natural. You have to have a natural instinct in order to do that.
Yeah, I'm curious how the passion of everything kind of fits in for you with like the nuts and bolts version that he's bringing to the table.
Well, everybody teases me because I'm an interior designer before I became an Antrim uh, worker, owner. I can look at a space. It could be a brown paper bag, and my vision are colors and fabrics and balance and elegant beauty without it being over like not approachable. So we also have a background in antiques because Richard's mom was in the antique business, and since he was a little boy, he would go to, at once a year, she would go to London to the Burnsley Market, which is something famous in London. And you go at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's like a antique flea market, but like,
On
you've
steroids. Yeah.
you've never seen before. And Richard would carry his mom's bags around or something. I don't know what. Yeah. And his passion for antiques, we always tease him because he's very good at silver, china, the brass accessories that go in the fireplace. He has, so together we can pretty much make something look very special.
Yeah.
And romantic is, I think, soft fabrics and I'll probably get this one chopped off, but the minimalist look is not for me.
No, that's gotta stay in.
I need the fabric, the tassels, the
Yeah.
trims.
You heard it here
The
first.
tie backs.
Dort is not minimalist.
And I'm not going to change. So anyway, I think the two of us together, that helped the vision
Yeah.
because we knew we could get to that point easily
Yeah.
and collect. It's so much fun to
Which
collect.
I think it could be difficult for some that are in business just by themselves. You have to bring the passion and the creativeness and also bring the nuts and bolts and making
Yeah.
sure that, the bottom line is
Yeah.
being met.
And I also think one of our natural aspect, like Richard said, you have to have that passion. It has to come. You can't take a course and become a hospitable, gracious, over the top hostess or host.
Yeah.
I mean, that's almost got it. You've got to have that passion.
Yeah.
We've always enjoyed entertaining,
Yeah.
and that's very key. You
I
just
mean, that's this business, really.
that's it.
Especially from the venue perspective.
Exactly.
What is it about the people? Because I mean, the wedding business is so people focused. Has it always been enjoyable to be working alongside so many people and having like in this venue space, like you got different people coming through the doors constantly.
Well, I think the interesting part about that is that when we first started, it was Dort and Mike, but Mike was more of the chef, and Dort was more of the wedding coordinator. And we really created some amazing relationships. We still have people who come back today, 30 some years later, and look for us. And of course, we tell our staffs, we used to cook breakfast. We used to do this, and
Yeah.
they all kind of, okay, right.
Yeah.
Hey, you walk 5 miles in the snow and stuff, and then these people would come back and go, oh, Richard used to cook breakfast for us, and
They
Tor
got your
would do
back.
this,
They got-
and say, also we're
you
being
actually did that.
validated,
Yeah.
and so again, I think part of our success, I really lean towards Dora on the fact that she was able to make these connections with brides and grooms and created a really great relationship. And I think that really, that was before the internet and before, the
All
knot
this
and
stuff that we're
everything
doing right
else,
now.
and you're not getting reviews online and stuff. It was just a matter of just doing a great job and
Yeah.
people and word of mouth and that type of thing. Your advertising was totally different in those days, and so it's about being genuine to your customers, and they were more than just customers. They were, became great friends.
Yeah. No, I love that. And it's a testament to a business working over the long term. You're way more focused on the people and the people having a good experience and more people learning about that good experience and
Yeah.
just snowballing it that way.
Well, the trickiest thing is the relationship that you have with your staff and training your staff to think and hope they, buy in. If probably it's like a coach of a, football team or something.
Yeah.
If you don't buy into the coaches, you might as well hit,
Yeah,
hit the road.
for sure.
So we were so lucky to have some of the most incredible staff members who would, we would do anything for each other.
Yeah.
So if it was a tough day, they would kick in or vice versa, or if they had, so those relationships are just as important as the client it's a 24, when the wedding's over. Like we might see them for their anniversary, but the staff is our. We've always been genuine to the staff and tried
Yeah.
to help them. And
It's so interesting because I hear a lot of photographers mostly that go down like an associate photographer route where they have people shooting for them, like lead shooting for them, and it doesn't work.
yeah,
And I wonder how without that sort of day to day working that you guys would probably have with staff here earlier on, when things are kind of just starting out. I feel like it just takes the time, like the face to face time, for them to
absolutely
buy into like what you're talking about.
true.
Yeah, we were very lucky because, we had some young girls who were like sisters and cousins, and they all were from Tawny Town, and they were just unbelievable, and their moms would work for us. So we had these families, and one family, their last name was Mormon, but we call them the Mormon family. People go, oh, this is a religious sect you have going on here. So no, there's just this one family, and literally, I think between the cousins, the brothers, the sisters, the moms, there must have been 18 or 20 who worked here at one point in time, and we just had amazing relationship with them. And I think the last one, Donna, just retired maybe 10 years ago. So she was over 25 years with us.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so we and they really bought into what we were, our vision, and that was made so much easier to translate that to the vision of the bride or what was trying to be accomplished that day.
Yeah. I'm curious some of the things that make Antrim different than, the other venues that might be around.
When you come to Antrim, it's a soup to nuts experience. So when you meet our wedding coordinator, it's Jill or Katie, that person's with you from the very start, the day you walk on property, till the day you have your wedding or your wedding day, with a lot of venues hand you off to a banquet manager or something
Or
like that.
the girls hire,
And they're always
hire
there.
a wedding. You don't need a wedding. They're actually in the way. Our wedding coordinators are so professionally trained for Antrim. You can't do things you do at a DC hotel because we probably wouldn't let you do it here.
Well, I think that the problem is when venues call people that work there coordinators or planners. They all mean something different.
Right.
True.
And so that's part of the issue is like when you come to a venue and they say, here's our coordinator, that could mean day of, they
Like a
just jump
car
in last
salesman, right,
second
yeah.
and then just run the day. Or it could mean like what you're talking about, Richard, where they're literally helping you plan the whole thing and they're with you, they're helping you the whole way.
And it's like picking a college. I think when you step on the campus, you know if that one's for you or not.
When you book a wedding here at Antrim, everything is pretty much included. It's a one price, one stop shop. And we have a preferred vendor list that we just are very particular about who is on that vendor list.
Yeah,
So you know that when the bride calls that vendor, they're going to be satisfied with that vendor. He's going to show up on time. He's going to do a good job. And
Respect the property.
and respect the property and respect
nothing's worse than a
and respect the
musician or
bride.
somebody who thinks that, well, I can drive in the middle of your lawn because
Yeah,
I'm
why
a
not?
musician. It's like, oh no, you can't.
I feel like it's usually the photographers and videographers that get in trouble. It's us. It's us. We're like, oh, let's do this creative thing, and the venue's like, no,
Yeah.
you're not even supposed to be over there. What are you doing?
Well, we have a rule in the pavilion that you can't hang anything from the chandeliers because they're matching chandeliers. And I'll go in there and a florist will have, like a florist we don't know.
Two
will have
tons of
2 tons of
greenery and
stuff hanging
flowers.
off. So it's kind of like, guess what? You're buying both of them if we have a problem here.
Yeah.
And that's why we love a preferred vendor, because we know we don't have to go and police him and stuff. You don't have to use our preferred vendors. If you have your own florist that you deal with or your own, idea of what band you want or whatever, that's fine. But we also are very particular about when they come on property that they understand our rules and regulations and work with us too.
Yeah.
Not just the bride, but they have to work with us too, because we know what's best for the property and what's really going to work, and B, that you can't get here 2 days early and start decorating a pavilion or something. We just have to make sure that you work within our parameters.
Yeah. I mean, I talk about this on the podcast all the time. If the vendor team, and that could include the venue as well, or people from the venue, if everyone's working together for the common good of, in your case, the space that you guys have that we're using, but also the couple, then you're never going to have a spot where someone's like overstepping and, thinking like it's not about them. Right. And that's
Yeah.
sometimes we need to be reminded of that.
'Cause I find that sometimes with musicians at times or a DJ and say, actually, they're not actually here to see you. They're actually here for the wedding.
Yeah.
And you're just a big part of it, and it's great. But we were actually going to do what the bride and groom wants to do today. And we're going to work with how the venue and how it's working with everybody else and our timing. And sometimes that can be very challenging. But again, that's why preferred vendors, we know that they're going to work. They understand what our parameters are and time slots are, and We want to be on time. The bride wants to be on time. And timing is very important when you're doing a wedding and for the bride to get all the things that she wants to get accomplished.
Yeah. So besides the preferred vendors list, what other questions should couples be coming to the venue with, ready to, get more information so they can make the best choice for themselves?
Well, you always have to be um, aware that there should be a plan B for the ceremony because everyone wants to be in our magnificent, renowned rose garden with the arbors and the fountains. But what happens? You have to think of a plan B, and we have a lovely couple of different choices. And of course, your wedding coordinator will walk you through plan B, and sometimes it's the day of. Darn it, we're going to have to move the ceremony indoors. But we uh, we have so many spaces here that appeal to so many different um, brides. It's mostly the brides who choose
Yeah.
where they want to walk down the aisle or down the stairs or down the, that seems to be more of a bride's thing. But we do have lots of, believe it or not, lots of options here.
Yeah.
And Plan B is an important question because Mother Nature's very fickle.
Yeah, I think the plan B, even if it's not here at Antrim and it's at some other venue or you're in some other state, going to the venue tour and saying like, "Hey, what are other spaces that we could use
In case.
in case there's
Mhm.
weather, in
Mhm.
case this, in case that?"
Right.
And even just an idea of like, "Hey, if we had less people come, could we use a different room? Or if we had more people come, can we
Right.
still use the same room that we're thinking?"
Yeah.
Um, some of that you have to have like some details figured out before you come, but um, there's
Right.
so
But they're
many.
questions you
Yeah,
should ask your wedding coordinator because
for
she's
sure,
seen it all
for sure.
from people with 2 people at the wedding to 400 people at the wedding with the tent on the croquet lawn and
Yep.
so there's so many questions you can ask, but they are all answerable.
Yeah. So you keep bringing up the food side of things here, and I'm curious how do you guys handle food for weddings and the events and stuff? And you could even kind of talk to the other venue owners that might be curious, like, oh, what do they do for food?
Yeah. I'm going to defer the food to Richard because he runs the restaurant part of the food and beverage end of Antrim.
Well, I think one of the accolades we seem to get most of is how it's some of the best food people have ever had at a wedding, which is really, really, rewarding to us. Our executive chef has been with us for 3 years, and he's been amazing. And when you plan your menu, you're planning your menu with that chef. We don't have a banquet chef. The food that comes out of that kitchen is the same food that is coming out of the same kitchen that our award-winning restaurant gets. So you're getting that value of food and that quality of food, and everything is prepared and served hot. We'll do a 200-person wedding, and we will say entrees have to be out every table within 18 minutes.
Mm.
And so we're very particular, but it's hot and it's correct and it's really rewarding. And, so again, it comes to timing, it comes to being on top of things. But when you're here, we have, when you book your wedding with us, we then set up a menu. We give you menu choices and we'll set up a menu tasting and you'll be able to sit down. And if you have any questions, the chef will be available to answer those questions. And we design your menu for you. And so it's again each individual has their opportunity to design their own menu.
Yeah, I feel like I'm hearing more that venues, and maybe if you're a couple listening, you might experience this more, that venues want a little bit more control on the food side of things. Because what I've noticed, and just like thinking through, like if I was a couple or if I was a guest and I'm sitting down ready to eat dinner at a wedding, the food comes out cold or not quite right. it's so easy for that person, I think, to think, oh, Antrim's food was not good.
True.
Even if it was some outside catering company that was just pumping out
Yeah.
food, it's
Right.
like, oh, Antrim's photographer is weird. Like, what a weird photographer that it's like this weird thing, I think, that it just like everything gets lumped into the
And
venue
leaves a bad
and leaves a bad
a
impression,
bad.
even if it's like,
Yeah.
that's not a photographer that's on our preferred vendors list. But
Right.
it
Right.
just goes to show, I
Right.
think, you know, putting intention into the food side of things and having that opportunity to, have your hand in that to make sure that the quality stays
And
high is so important.
100% of our comments from large events are, "Whoa, how did you? That food is so the fillet was perfect. The temperature was at the crab cake." They're like, "How do you do that?" Because another thing, our servers are ours. So your wait staff is trained
Yeah.
and they know how to get, around those,
Yeah.
tables around the right timing is so important. I mean,
And I think when you were talking about questions that you would ask a venue, if the venue itself is not producing the food, they're doing an outside catering venue list, I would really be, particular about checking out those the vendors who are the caterers who are going to be doing it, and exactly what each catering company is offering, whether it's the alcohol portion, whether it's the food portion, and then make sure that that's going to fit your vision of what you want that day. And it really makes a huge difference because, again, now you're working with the venue and you're also working now with the food and a different aspect of it. But if they're not together, they're not in sync, that could affect your whole day.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, and that's when kind of the grooms get involved. They seem to be the foodies and the winey. They want to know that if there's wine service. These are good questions, like for a bride and groom to ask about wine service at dinner, champagne toast. What should recommend? You don't. This is a terrible thing to say, maybe, but you don't want to waste the precious aspects of your reception that you work so hard from the ceremony on grounds to the last to the sparklers or
Yeah.
whatever it's at the end. um it timing, like Richard said, you don't want to wait forever for a dinner. I
Yeah.
mean,
It's
it's not
just it's
about
just a fact.
the
Yeah.
dinner is fabulous. If it's a plus 100%, that's huge bonus,
Yeah.
and that's what happens here at Antrim. But the timing. Oh, have you ever been somewhere and it's like 2.5 hours later? It's like, well, and everybody probably drunk because
Because they
they're
haven't
waiting
eaten
for
anything.
they're starving.
I was wondering in that at a
But we
recent
have
wedding.
past hors d'oeuvres. We
Yeah.
we have bars all over the place. So I think we've got it down to a
I was at a
science.
wedding and I was talking to the videographer and I was like, how is everyone not just like plastered right now? And he's like, oh, they probably were chowing down because there was a huge set out for hors d'oeuvres
Yeah.
and appetizers and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm curious on the like B&B side that kind of corresponds with the weddings. Um, are you seeing a lot of couples that are kind of using the rooms and staying kind of for the weekend, or is it kind of just they pop in for the wedding and then they pop out?
I would say the rooms have become very, very popular. I mean, and that's one of the reasons why we've expanded over the years, having enough rooms to be available to brides. We changed our policy a couple of years ago, where now if you book a wedding, we will guarantee you 30 guest rooms would be allowed upon your initial booking. But we also now allow the bride, so if there's a Friday bride and a Saturday, and we want to do a rehearsal dinner, we know that you're going to get at least 10 rooms that you can do your rehearsal dinner and have 10 rooms for your wedding party or parents or whatever. We also have a dedicated person who does nothing but wedding rooms, and we'll be once you sign a contract with us, they will be in contact with you, describe exactly how our rooms work. We have very particular rules about how our rooms work, actually more to protect you than to protect the property. But we think it's really, really a good thing. You actually book building by building, not room by room.
Mm.
That way you don't have, a couple of your fraternity brothers who haven't seen each other for the last 4 years, having someone who's having their 25th wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
And so, so it makes that, so we really do look out for you and want to make sure that you have the best setup. And it really works out well. And
From the bride's point of
from
view,
the bride's point of view.
To have all your bridesmaids, your sisters, your moms, in the same space, it takes them for a little bit longer to get ready.
Yeah, just a little
than
bit.
The
Couple
guys.
minutes extra.
So the guys are in their tuxedos playing pickleball down on the court for hours while the girls are
Yeah.
getting ready, and that just adds another wonderful family friend touch to
Yeah.
being in the same place instead of traveling back and forth from hither and yon and getting there a little bit frazzled and a little minute late or something. It's so awesome to see them have fun on the property.
Yeah, and you get a chance to see more, experience more, and it's one of the best things that my wife and I did is we got the venue like for the weekend. I'm not saying that Antrim does that specifically, but just the idea of spending more time here
Absolutely. Yeah.
and making a weekend of it and experiencing more while you're here, I think it's so fun.
Yeah.
No, it definitely is. And we have facilities, we have tennis courts, croquet lawn, uh, pickleball, swimming pool. So you can use all those facilities and kind of really relax and really kind of have like you're saying, a great weekend together. And we feel that that having the rooms really makes the bride a little more relaxed. Now, when you get back to questions they should ask the venue, if they don't have rooms on the property, where is the closest? Where is the hotel that they would work with?
Just plan ahead a little bit.
Yeah, so they can plan ahead, so they know about room blocks and different things that different hotels would do, the distance from the hotels to the property. All these things make a big difference, especially if you're selecting a venue and you're expecting a lot of Valentine guests.
Yeah, and that just reminds me the save the date, which usually comes out from the bride and groom maybe 6 months before the wedding. It's really important that you have some ducks in a row for additional accommodations, or is there any like car service or all those questions
Yeah.
to help your guest feel comfortable too.
Yeah, I
are
love that.
important.
Okay, I have one more question for you guys.
Uh-oh.
If you could picture where Antrim will be in the next like 5 or 10 years, you guys have been in this for a long time.
Well, we'll have to picture that from heaven because we probably will be dead.
No, you got 5. Come on, you got at least 5.
All right,
Don't
there
do
you
that
go.
to
All right,
me.
I'll
If
take
you
5.
said 10,
I'll
Okay,
take
we'll
5.
say 10. We'll say 5. We'll say 5. But you guys have built an amazing space here, and you've been in business for a long time. I'm just curious, even after all those years, like where do you guys see Antrim going in the next 5 years?
Well, I think that, one of the positive is, and Dort kind of mentioned this earlier, is we have a fantastic staff. Um, I'm here on the property pretty much every day, but I don't have to be here as much as I used to be. So I might come in for 4 or 5, 6 hours, and used to be 12, 13 hours. And Dort used to be on property a lot more than she is now, but she can come in and help when we have decorations, when we have to. She actually does all the Christmas decorations and puts everything up. And by hand, we have some elves that come in and help us. But so I think in 5 years, I think we'll be where we are now, but we're always growing. Like, for example, we lost a site which was kind of more of a less formal site that we used to do weddings in, and it's taken us 5 years just for that site to develop and now it's called the Boxwood Gardens, and it's beautiful. And it's creating a beautiful LA, and in probably another 4 years, it's going to be spectacular. So we're planning for the future, and we're building towards the future, and I think the future's bright.
Yeah, I love that. Well, Dort and Richard, thank you so much for having me here at Antrim. It's been so fun already, and just so cool to hear you guys' story, how this all kind of came to be. Where can people that are listening and watching follow along with what you guys are doing here at Antrim?
Where you have a great website that gives you lots of information. We also do well on social media, so you can find us there. And we'd love for you to give us a call. You can call us and set up an appointment with Katie or Jill, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, all those links will be down in the description below. So if you're wondering what the website is or what social media platforms, that'll all be down there for y'all to click on. And I appreciate you guys again. Thank you so much for having me. If you guys are listening or watching, it'd be amazing. It'd be so helpful if you just share this with a friend who would benefit from hearing the story that Rich and Dort shared. And then, if you could leave us a review, leave a comment, ask a question, I'll be there. I'll be there to respond. But I just appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. If you've made it this far, that's all for this episode. Antrim 1844, and we'll catch you guys next time on the Preferred List.